Hello and welcome to Crowforest Reviews. So this year, in preparation for the release of my second movie, I thought I would look back at my first movie. So let's do that. This is Crowforest, the movie. The movie opens with a trippy dream sequence.
What? I didn't send that. I thought you made it.
Strange dreams.
What were you doing there all that time?
Strange dreams. Strange dreams.
What was he doing there all that time?
Wow, that's trippy. The dream sequence ends with the final parallel editing sequence from the end of the CSI review, showing Crowforest walking to the closet and finding the miniature killer doll, intercut with shots of the Phantom building the miniature. Crowforest wakes up from the dream, and we crossfade into the opening credits, which are a bit too long, but they do look nice. After the opening dream sequence, a title card tells us that it's 5 years earlier, conveniently getting us caught up on all the plot details of Season 0. Which is good, because no one ever saw Season 0. Not that anyone ever saw this movie, either. So I guess I'm not really doing this retrospective for anyone. That's kind of depressing. Anyway, we quickly go through the initial conflict with the Phantom, including the Phantom coming out of the closet, Crowforest chasing the Phantom through the house, and even the infamous rooftop chase sequence. The reason why I am on so many watch lists in this neighborhood. I'm still very proud of that sequence. So after that, the Phantom confronts Crowforest and gets him to finally finish the movie that he abandoned 5 years before. So for those of you keeping track at home, it's now 10 years before the opening dream sequence. I don't know why people thought this script was so hard to follow. So Crowforest finishes his movie and sets the Phantom free from his existential prison. Somehow. And then we return to the present. Or rather, to the dream sequence that is taking place in the present. See? Clear as mud. Also, it's not just a dream sequence. It's a vision of things that are actually happening in another dimension. But I don't know why I'm even bothering explaining that to you. I think that was perfectly clear in the original script. Two CSI techs are investigating a mysterious death. It's a locked room scenario, with no way for the killer to have gotten in or out of the room. But more mysterious still is the presence of the killer's signature, the miniature.
What reason do you have to suspect a serial killer? Where's the signature?
That's your signature.
The federal agent informs the local coroner that there have been numerous similar killings involving locked rooms, all of which had miniatures left at the crime scene. Then, when the federal agent goes to check the body, the local coroner goes to check the miniature itself, and is startled to see that the figures have moved from their original positions. And yes, this is a plot point, not a continuity error.
Did you move anything in this?
No.
Either I'm crazy or this is a very different setup than a second ago.
They definitely are, but I have no idea what would cause that.
The federal agent speculates that perhaps the miniatures are not merely the signature of the killer, but rather the murder weapons. She thinks that the Phantom might be employing some form of sympathetic magic, that by building replicas of his victims' houses, and then by placing a representation of their deceased form into the miniature, he was in fact causing the image to become reality, forcing the real houses and the real people to conform to his design. And I hope you understood that, because that is as clear as I can make it. It's probably a bad thing when something that central to your movie is that confusing. But anyway, getting back to the movie. A dramatic zoom-out shot reveals that the whole scene with the CSI techs all took place inside the miniature on Crowforest's desk. Crowforest is looking down into the miniature, and then looks up dramatically. And here, there's actually two different versions of the scene. In the original version from the Coraline review, Crowforest just looks up and he's wearing the Phantom mask. In the re-edit for the movie version, Crowforest looks up not wearing the mask, gets up, goes into the bathroom, and looks into the mirror, which shows him the Phantom and not him. This is followed in both versions by Crowforest waking up in bed, meaning that we have finally caught up to the opening scene of the movie. Because damn it, I'm padding this thing out to feature length somehow. The movie opens proper, 30 minutes in, with Crowforest looking out the window at the rain. Harvey comes in, and we immediately get a flashback explaining how he and Crowforest first met. Seriously? Another flashback? Anyway, Harvey asks Crowforest what's bothering him, and Crowforest shows him the miniature killer doll in the closet. This, of course, is followed by a montage of Crowforest being emo. Also, it turns out that the rain is being caused by the Phantom shaking water out of the bottle in front of the window of Crowforest's miniature. Oh, also, fun fact, the bottle that the Phantom is using in that shot is actually Sir Squeeze-A-Lot from Yolanda Gamp's store, featured on How to Cake It. So, go watch her stuff. I'll wait. So, where was I? Oh, right. So after a trippy transition shot from the miniature killer doll in the Phantom's lair to one on a newspaper on Crowforest's desk, we get a scene between Crowforest and Bunny. Crowforest explains the concept of Schrodinger's cat to Bunny, even though Bunny insists that he already knows what it is.
Are you familiar with the concept of Schrodinger's cat?
Yes.
The idea is that if you have a cat in a box, then it exists in the state of being both alive and dead until it's observed.
I said yes. Stop explaining.
But, I mean, it's Bunny. We kind of have to assume that he's lying. Anyway, the point in all this is that Crowforest thinks that the Phantom might have the same kind of dual existence as Schrodinger's cat. And this is confirmed when we cut to a shot of the Phantom having a conversation with himself in the mirror. Crowforest begins his review of Coraline, and a time-lapse shot slowly transitions into the obligatory shower scene. Because this is a horror movie, and all horror movies are contractually obligated to have a shower scene. Crowforest gets out of the shower just as the doorbell rings.
Do you mind getting that, Harvey?
Harvey goes to answer the door, but there's no one there. Just a box from a redacted address. And yes, you might think that this is to conceal where I live, and yeah, sure, but it's also to creepily signify that this box came from a demonic Elseworld.
Crowforest? You got a package from a demonic Elseworld again!
Crowforest takes the box and sets it in his bed to open it, and inside he finds a miniature of his bedroom. In the original, I set this sequence to Jonathan Coulton's Creepy Doll, but I may have to change that for the royalty-free re-edit. Maybe I'll ask him if I can get a license. Crowforest studies the miniature, taking note of all the detail work, knowing that it could only have come from someone with a very detailed knowledge of his life. He realizes that he can't ignore the situation with the Phantom anymore, so he decides that he needs to go to Lego World to confront the Phantom and to end his reign of terror once and for all. He asks Dr. Noonian if he's finished his interdimensional transport Nerf bullets yet, because it's that kind of a movie, and we get yet another flashback explaining the context for that.
As you can see, I have grafted a small isolinear tag onto the tip of the Nerf bullets. This tag, when activated by a pressure greater than that of wind resistance, will create a tiny rip in the space-time continuum, causing a phase variance. This, of course, will allow both the bullet and the causer of the pressure to pass through the invisible barrier between worlds.
But
Interdimensional transports.
And then Crowforest warps into Lego World. He walks to the Phantom's lair and opens the door, finding a long corridor. So he does the clue review while walking down the corridor. Now there's two ways to view this scene. We saw the Phantom's lair from the outside, and clearly there isn't enough room for a corridor like this. So either this is a pocket dimension within a pocket dimension, or else the Phantom is somehow creating this illusion to mess with Crowforest's head. Well, he simply walks in place in the doorway for 20 minutes. Or it's a mistake. Yeah, I guess it could be that too. So, technically there's three options. Anyway, Crowforest looks around the Phantom's lair, with the camera very carefully not showing the empty chair where the Phantom is supposed to be sitting. Because I can't be in two places at once, damn it! Anyway, to make a long and very confusing story short,
Too late.
the Phantom drops a massive exposition dump, confirming the Dream FBI agent's theory about how the Phantom used the miniatures as actual murder weapons by use of sympathetic magic. Also, he takes Crowforest on this weird fever dream journey into the past, and shows him how he inadvertently created Lego World.
Of course, my spell reflected off the mirror. It's so simple. How did I not see this before? You ended up enchanting everything in your room except for the one thing you had intended.
I would ask how he's even doing that, but then I guess this is visually much better than just cutting back and forth between Crowforest and the Phantom in my not all that impressive sunroom, so I guess I'll allow it. When the Phantom finally finishes his villain monologue, Crowforest knocks him into some boxes and uses his literal Chekhov's gun to warp the Phantom out of Lego World and into the real world via this pretty cool shot. Crowforest warps in after the Phantom, and monologues for a bit. No doubt getting revenge for all the monologuing that the Phantom did. Then Crowforest waves his wand and imprisons the Phantom in the mirror, which now has a rose chained to it. And then Crowforest has another emo moment, which leads into the infamous Crowforest Christmas Carol. So that was Crowforest the movie. How was it? Well, I mean, it's not great. The acting is flat and awkward, the script is a hot mess, and the whole thing is needlessly confusing. But still, there is a certain charm to it. The cinematography in this movie, I think, is rather good, even if that is the only positive feature of it. But still, maybe that will be enough that people will want to check this out once I've made some better movies. Kind of see where I got my start. Or maybe not. But either way, I definitely don't regret making this movie. I learned a lot from this experience. And now I'm even planning on making another movie using one of the miniatures, but not Crowforest. So, if you liked the cinematography with the miniatures, but you thought Crowforest was kind of a bummer, now you have something to look for. And now, I can't think of any better way to end this thing than with a rough cut of a preview for my next movie.
Thanks for agreeing to store these for me.
No problem. I've never even been up in my attic, so I won't miss a space. What the hell? Damn it! Ever since I found the model of my house up in the attic, things have just been weird.
Creepy. Are you sure you're okay?
I'm fine, damn it.
What are you doing?
die, damn it!